Welcome to Fishing for Bees. This is my YouTube channel on swarm catching and beekeeping. We've never purchased bees, we've never purchased a queen, we've never split a colony, and currently we're running 13 colonies in 3 different locations. In the past we've given away 10 frame colonies in the spring. That's likely to happen again. If any of that interests you, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're just going to do a you decide video. In the couple videos we showed how we render our wax cappings down to bring it to a quality that's good for candles and cosmetics, more cosmetics than candles. You can use lesser quality wax for candles certainly, but for cosmetic we like to use our wax cappings, and we've always rendered them down. So I showed how you do that cheap and easy with a crock pot. And I said I wasn't going to do that with the brood comb that I had to disregard because of some laying worker situations we had. This brood comb was nasty. It had drone brood in it that did not survive because I pulled them out of the colony and shook them. It had bee bread in it. It was old brood comb. It had cocoons, had pollen, so it had protein sources in it. It was pretty nasty stuff, and I said that I wasn't going to render it down. But I also, in my other videos, have recommended looking at Goodwill stores and Facebook Marketplace for old crock pots, because once you use a crock pot for rendering wax, you're not going back. It's not going to be used for food, so get them for cheap. I found a crock pot. It's a 8-quart crock pot. I got it for 11 bucks, so good deal on it. And I decided that I was going to render down that wax. So I'm going to cut away. I'm going to show you what the wax looked like in this tub right here. We put it in this tub. It also filled a 13-gallon trash bag to about the capacity of 7 gallons. So you'll see it in here in the cutaway. It was about 7 gallons of just nastiness. And as I said, it had everything in there, including a little bit of hint of wax moth larvae that I discovered had gotten in there because they sat out a little bit too long. So it was some pretty nasty stuff, and I'll show a cutaway of the finished product as well. But I just want to talk about the process of doing it. So it was a large quantity that took me about 3 days to render down to what you're going to see as the final product, and how much we yielded from that as far as the final product. So it was a lot of work. It was 3 days of stinking up the garage. I got to say, it was not a pleasant smell at all. It started out fine, and I don't have a weak stomach by any means, anything like that. But after smelling this for 3 days, which was just a stew of rotting pupa and protein sources and some live wax moth larvae that started to crawl on the lid. I think you're kind of getting the picture, and I can tell that Elena's getting the picture. It was pretty vile stuff. So on the 3rd day after smelling this, it was pretty ridiculous, and I was pretty much done with it. I've rendered wax cappings down. That's a pleasant smell. That's wax. That's honey. It's in a crock pot. There's nothing horrible about it. This was a whole different ball game. So I'm more or less making this video just to let anybody know who's thinking about going down this road. It's certainly viable. It's certainly great to get wax that you can use on your frames and stuff like that, but I'll let you decide if all of that, including the cutaway that I'm going to put in with the byproduct and having to dispose of the byproduct and everything else, I'll have you decide. So we're going to show some of the products that we've had in the past, and I'll show you what we yielded from, I'm going to guess, over 7 pounds of crud. This was our last video. This is just under a pound. This was the wax cappings, right? This was 17 frames that we did in the spring of our spring honey, and it's beautiful. Great quality. You can tell it's a beautiful color. Last year, this was probably close to 5 pounds. This is all of last year's wax cappings. 57 gallons of honey. It was a lot of wax cappings that I saved through the course of the extractions that we did, and then made the final product. Again, it's the same bucket, it's the same procedure. I have a video on it, so you can see this is really beautiful wax, really high quality wax, and we do use this for our lip balm. So a little bit of this yields a good profit, right? There's not much wax in lip balm. There's more wax in candles. The profit margin is good there. But as far as with the lip balm, A little of this goes a long way in making the lip balm. This is the finished product of the 3-day adventure, cooking pupa in a crock pot. It's good wax. I would not use this for lip balm, but the reason why I did this is I was like, well, I continue to buy wax for about $10, sometimes more, a pound locally and also from the big B box stores. And I figured, well, why would I not render it down? And I was curious how much it would yield. Well, it yielded 15 ounces of wax, which is good for frames, and it was a lot of work. And I'm not sure that I would do it again, and I'm getting pretty close to being positive that I wouldn't do it again. For $10, I can buy wax locally or from the big box stores. I don't buy it from Amazon. It's not pellet wax, you know, it's industry wax. What I will say, the positives about it, again, this is a video for you to decide. I'm certainly more comfortable with this wax being on my frames, and also I'm certainly more comfortable with this wax because this is the same wax that I will use to wax all my frames. So I'm waxing my honey supers with this wax. I'm more comfortable with this wax than anything I've ever bought locally and anything I've ever bought from the big B box stores. I wish I had some left to compare it to. The wax that I've purchased from commercial beekeepers is not this yellow. It has a gray tinge to it. And this, what I rendered down, was, as I've said, pretty nasty stuff. And yet I was able to get this color out of it. And the wax I buy commercially is grayer. There's yellow in it, but it's grayer. That makes me wonder why and how old it is or what's in it. The other thing you got to remember with the wax you're purchasing, the contaminants are in the wax, right? So any treatments that they've done obviously are in the wax. Any pollination contracts they've done where the bees have been exposed to any type of pesticides or fungicides or things in the environment, that is in the wax. So again, I'm more comfortable with this wax. I'm not sure that I would invest 3 days to get 15 ounces of wax. So we had Elena come over just to do an up close. So this is wax cappings. This is our product. This is for lip balm and possibly for candles. This is the product from the mess of brood comb from the laying worker situation, which had brood in it and a list of other things. I went down the list. So there's a big difference in the quality of the two, if you ask me. Obviously, this one's going to look a lot better to the customer, but this one is perfectly fine for what I need to do with it. So the previous videos are up. The previous video on where I got the brood comb wax from is up. The previous video on how we render our wax cappings down with just a simple crock pot. Very cheap and inexpensive, and this is actually enjoyable. This process is not last year's wax comb. So there you have it. That's the video for this week. I certainly hope it helps anybody out that's planning on going down this road as far as rendering a bunch of brood comb. Obviously, it's much different in a commercial level, and one of the other things I want to say is I don't see me ever investing in a wax processor or a wax melter or anything like that. I'm not going to do that much brood comb. You saw the byproduct. I have watched how you drain the water off and everything like that. I'm just not going to do it. Those are very, very expensive, and as far as what you can get back from it, selling the wax, it takes a lot to recoup that investment. Again, 15 ounces, 10 bucks. The crock pot cost 11 bucks. I still didn't even recoup my investment there. So these units are thousands of dollars, and I certainly don't see me doing that anytime soon. So if you're thinking about going down this road, there you have it. It certainly will give you a finished product, but whether it's worth the time or not, I'll let you decide. Thanks for watching. I hope your bees are well.